right? In 3, 2, 1. I don't need to do a countdown with the stream. I don't know why. It's just baked into my brain. I don't know why I needed to do that. Welcome to another episode of Under Construction. I'm your host, Ellis, otherwise known as the Admiral. With me, well, TJ's over there. Again, I'm in the video making mood for some reason. I feel like I'm trying to start the podcast and not start Under Construction. No, I'm just pretty much by myself like I always am. My screen is not quite set up, but of course, before we get started, we have to wait for people to arrive. So anyone can start the stream countdown timer. The real stream will start in however many minutes after I bang out a match of not Tetris, or a game. One attempt at breaking our high score. Oh shoot, let me actually throw the stream and recording on our Discord server. That's in the description if you want. I also have to say before we start, if you like trains, if you like steam locomotives, if you like playing games with steam locomotives, and you want to know what's the best one, check out our steam locomotive trading cards on the ironhorseman.com, also available in the description. Okay. So, as per usual, we will do something not train related while we wait for the stream to officially start, while we wait for anyone and everyone to come around. There has been some good turnout Thursdays in the last month or so. Although the last one, there were not too many people around. Mid-March, you know what it is. People are getting to do things outside again. Although not in this weather. Not in the rain that's practical plague. Alright, have fun, TJ. Oh, shoot. Okay, that's not good. Okay. Over there. I'm gonna tuck that in. We are doing a pretty good job of just building over on the left. Every once in a while, YouTube does not like do the stream thing properly, the stream chat. I'm not gonna be able to fit this in. Just a little to the right. And I have to refresh the page, and I'm always worried about that. So when people start showing up, be sure to sound off. Let me know that you're there. Let me say hello to you and christen this properly. There. And this can go over here. Oh, we almost had something there. Okay. Nope, and still only one thing getting removed. Okay, that can go there. This can go here. We're not losing control yet. That's good. I'm not sure what we're going to work on today on Tolbrand. I don't really have a plan, but continuing from our little spot of scenery and heading out, that's something that I think I'm going to end up doing no matter what. Hello, Bender. Bender says Tetris seems less floppy than usual. I am doing my best to make it not floppy. I'd like you to know. I'm doing my level best to keep everything level. Unlike the good old Porterfield and Ellis, which we have learned quite a bit about in the last couple of days, it has absolutely gone from something I was not sure if it was real to one of my favorite railroads of all time. And it has nothing to do with the fact that it's called Ellis. Speaking of which, one of these days I should pay a visit to my namesake Railroad Museum in Ellis, Kansas. I suppose it's just about the only reason I could conceive of to go to Kansas, unless I decided to get into storm chasing. Because the only other thing that Kansas is associated with in my mind is the Wizard of Oz. I feel like that's maybe true for a lot of people. Wizard of Oz, wide open spaces, corn, grain, restore Ellis and run onto the main line. I can run on the main line. I'm not incapable of doing that. I can't run for very long. I'll get winded, but I'll try. I'm going to be chased down by a train. I'm trying to run on the main line. Give me a mango and I'll gobble. That's just about the worst place I could have landed that. Can I get this in here? Oh, things are really speeding up. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, that doesn't count? Come on. That should count. That should definitely count. Okay, it does. They have active Santa Fe Steam. They do? Wasn't... Didn't... They do? What Steam is running in Kansas? This is going to be a really short match of... Yep, this is it. We're done. We're done. We're done, chat. Game over. Okay. Alright. I hit enter again by accident. Time to not be focused on that. Time to throw up route layer. Set up route layer and go for it. Now, I was talking with some... I was giving some friends the Grand Tour is the thing. That's why we're late. And we were talking about how there's... Talking about how the grain industry might be set up over there and how a locomotive might serve it. And having some online stuff, you know, having an engine house that serves specifically this industry instead of trying to use engines from the roundhouse over there makes a lot of sense. The grain customers, they will need to take a car at a time. It's going to give them a, you know, it takes a while for them to sort through a train. And while we might not be able to model that because of, well, because of limitations in the game and just sanity, right? Because I'm not going to have an engine just picking and pulling single grain cars when there's functionally no difference. I'm not that committed to modeling reality. I wish I was, but that's not where we're at. I would like to get this done, and even beyond that, I am very ready to nuke the AI just to get to a place where the route is functional in some respect. Because right now you can boot it up and it won't really do anything. It will not do the train drivey thing. You don't get to watch the trains go around. Even the trolleys don't really work, although I probably won't mess with them at all. Because it just doesn't work anymore with the new changes. I don't really know why. I assume it has something to do with they are redoing the AI for the sake of living railroad, which again sort of undoes my effort of the last several years. But you know, it's cool. I can't dislike it. I can't hate it. I can't be mad because at the end of the day, hopefully the AI will be better, and really at the end of the day, hopefully the railroad, the game does the thing that I've always wanted to do without me having to spend years of my life programming. That's what I'm hopeful for. It might be a little pie in the sky, but that's what I'm hopeful for. Okay, I'm realizing that these are cockeyed. I'm realizing that this is too far over to the right, and I need to scoot it to the left, and the easiest way to do that is probably to jump back into Surveyor 2.0 and scoot this over like this. Now, like I said earlier, it's been a little slow around here. I'm not complaining, per se, because I can only be so engaging, and I understand that the niche is not all that large. But if you have foamy friends that like Trainz and Trainz, those sounded the same. I don't know. You know what I mean. You know, always feel free to spread the word. What I'm supposed to say is like, comment, and subscribe, right? That's the YouTube things. That's what people have to deal with. Every YouTuber saying from now until the dawn of time, or the end of time, or since the dawn of time. I've been not good with metaphors lately, I tell you what. No, like, but I would rather things all spread by word of mouth. Hello, Jersey Central 833. Welcome to the party. These are about this far apart. I don't think I should. I think I should not stagger them. It feels like I shouldn't stagger them. And let's grab our BNSF 50 stub track, which, okay, here it is over here. We can run through and do a little bit of stuff. Hello, Jebediah. Hello, baby. Gloria is at work and will be there for the next couple of hours. Aren't you inside at the service desk? Why are you able to watch the stream? Or Cross of Bayonne. That is true. I miss you too, though. Miss you too, baby. Oh, you're still on break. Gloria is still on break. Okay. Anyway, yeah, there are some tight turns in here, but this is fine. This is good. Is the door on this side? No, there's just no door on this at all. I really expected a door on this. I don't know what this is supposed to be. Ellis discussed the Shays. I mean, East, thank you for reminding me, but when I said what I said earlier about having to have someone on to discuss the Shays, I was more meaning that someone would have to explain to me what the hell is going on with the Shays. Because it would seem that Lima gave us all the numbers that we needed. East apparently can explain. There's this thing called tight end. Yes, I know. It's calculated by black magic. Yeah, and Lima can do black magic. Is what it seems like the gist of this is. You know, they seem to have figured out at some point how to calculate this thing. Honestly, I think Matt and Tyler, I feel like, would be the eminent experts on this. I need to figure out something to do. I'm just poking around. Why Lima should be number one on the builders list. I feel like there aren't no arguments as to why the builders list should be different, right? The boy is over there somewhere. But the thing with the builders list is, at the end of the day, quantity is the easiest thing to measure. And Baldwin had the quantity, you know. And I know this does not need to be a serious conversation at this point in time, but I didn't even, you know, it just was the way it was, right? It is the way it is. And people can disagree with me, that's fine. However, hi TJ. Bye TJ. However, when I was working on this batch of trading cards, some of you already know this punchline. When I was working on this batch of trading cards, I started to notice a pattern. And I mean, there are plenty of the like 50 cards or so that we've made, plenty of them are Baldwins. But if for whatever reason your Locodome roster made out of our Steam Locomotive trading cards is lacking Baldwins, oh boy, get ready. Because this batch might as well be called This Too Is a Baldwin. This batch, the list of builders goes something approximate to Baldwin Westinghouse, Baldwin, Alco Schenectady, Baldwin, Alco Cook. Like, that's it. That is that is the gist of what the builders look like for the next batch of trading cards. It's a little bit insane. I didn't do it on purpose. In fact, I very deliberately went out of my way to try and get diversity into this batch of trading cards. I went out of my way to try and find logging locomotives in other countries. You know, some places that's kind of a bust. Like, a lot of Europe was fairly thoroughly logged before the invention of the steam locomotive. So, you know, that's why you don't really hear about logging railways in Europe too much. You do a little bit in, like, the Caucasus, or the not the Urals, but I don't know what the name of the mountain in this area is, like in the Transylvania area, right? And we did manage to nab a locomotive from that neighborhood. We got a locomotive from, like, I think it's Romania. Um, Very, very cool dude. I honestly fell in love with it immediately. Um, but between, that's, oh right, that is the other one. That's a Mavag engine. Um, that's not a Baldwin, but it is, it's, or sorry, is it a, no, it is a Baldwin. I thought it was an O&K engine, but it's a Baldwin. Um, but there are two Alcos, one Mavag, and everything else is Baldwin. Again, not on purpose. Even the international entries are all Baldwins. The Japanese entry, no, not the Alps. Think further east. In like the, am I thinking of the Carpathians? No, that's the dude from Ghostbusters 2. Um, Anyway, it's not important right now. Good evening, Comrade Orion. Um, yes, and East Hitachi locomotives are, in fact, for her pleasure. Okay. This area is going to be treed up. This, again, I'm just doing, like, this kind of scenery now. Because I'm done with track. Not done, but, like, I'm done with it for right now. Like, I'm good. Like, we're good. I don't need to add more track right now. There are... Oh, shoot. See the black bar on the right side of your screen? Oh, wait. Can I not make it... No, I can make it bigger. No, 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 no. I don't want to do that. Okay. Okay, hold on. I need to line it up again. I grabbed the edge of the window by accident. Nope, still needs to go further. We've got the technical difficulty music playing. Okay, that's good enough. Went to the hobby shop earlier. Guess what I didn't get? I'm guessing you didn't get nothing and you walked out with much. Muchos. No, I assume you ended up with no end scale buildings because their selection was sad. And that's the issue with hobby shops. Nothing can compete with the power of the internet, sadly. And I found a $40 gift certificate to a local hobby shop in the glove box of my car in an envelope that I likely have not opened since I received it, which would have been years ago. Like, I didn't know it was there. I didn't know the envelope was there. I didn't know anything was in there that would be useful. I have had this gift certificate almost as long as I've owned the car, I would imagine. I don't remember when I got it. And that is, like, years. I don't even know if this place is still open. That's the other issue with hobby shops. Is just like the rest of the hobby there, it's all old people. And I am worried about that. I will be the last surviving. I'll be the last surviving member of the Providence Northern. Okay, that's not entirely true. We did get a couple of new members that are young. I was like almost a little more than half my age, which is alarming. It's very alarming, actually, because I feel positively ancient at that realization. The fact that there is anyone that is half my age that is doing anything is terrifying. But I understand why people get their boxer briefs in a twist when young kids start joining their organizations. I feel like people forget the fact that they too were young kids once upon a time and did the same annoying stuff, like tying three tracks of stage together and running a monster train around the layout. I did that. I feel like everyone did that at some point. If you were a member of a model railroad club at a young age, there's a neuron activation thing when it comes to big train, right? What's the there was something that got recommended to me. Really? We don't have a gazebo? Really? We definitely have a gazebo. We definitely have a gazebo. Let's just throw down some picnic tables. Um, Picnic area. Yeah, why not? Well, no, that's too many picnic tables. I want just like two. One there and one there. It's going to be a sad little area, and maybe I'll throw some trees down as well. Point is, ended up with the Kato ES44AC, tank train, air slide hopper, Canadian hopper. Okay, so I was right on the first count. I should have stuck to my guns and said you bought too much stuff, because you bought a lot of stuff. But that's what happens when you go into the hobby shop. Last time I went into a local hobby shop, maybe not the last time, but a recent time, you know, I struggled to not walk out with 3 D&H engines. I didn't really have the money for it, which is why it wasn't that much of a struggle. But the thing with Delaware and Hudson, aside from the fact that their paint scheme is like the sexiest on Earth, right? Uh, Hello, Der Kaiser. Uh, uh, Aside from the fact that their paint scheme is incredible, they've, you know, I don't need to gush about that more than I already do. Uh, the fact that they were so sort of like doofy, right? That any lash up looks right. You know, the paint was so wild, the paint was so good that even the most absurd lash up that they had looked good. I mean, it helps that you couldn't MU the shark noses with other stuff, because you know they would have had them nose into something else, right? They would have had a shark nose that was nosed into a into a Jeep or into an Alco. That's like a weird chop nose Alco. It would have happened, but I think the fact that they couldn't make the worst combinations imaginable means that they made just really weird combinations that are almost like, that feel more acceptable, that feel weird enough for you to go, oh my god, look at that, and then want to do it yourself. Because that's exactly where I was at. That's exactly where I was at. I was like, I'm going to buy 3 completely random D&H engines that are on the wall here. I don't even know if they have sound. I knew they all had DCC. They were sort of like ready to run DCC engines. I think they were all Bachmans that were just on the wall. It's like, I'm going to buy all these, and I'm going to throw them together, and I'm going to pull a freight train with them at the Providence Northern. I didn't, but, you know. A shark nose and yeah, no, Kaiser is absolutely right. Kaiser is the best take, the right take, the one that's, you know, the one that is at my heart and soul, which is the PA, and the Sharks, but the PAs in particular, because the PAs ended up in all sorts of different schemes. The PA in D&H is like, it's like young Jennifer Connelly, and you guys can draw any conclusion from that you want. Not like not Labyrinth Jennifer Connelly, because she was underage in that one, but, and also more importantly, the stage in the Labyrinth is taken by David Bowie in leather, but that's unimportant. What was it? In Career Opportunities. Career Opportunities is the movie that I'm thinking of. I just couldn't come up with that, and my brain just went to the Labyrinth, because it's a movie that I actually watched not that long ago. I think we did a Real List episode on it, which I wish we still made that show. If you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, there's a link to our community channel in the description. It's where I do stuff with people that aren't just me, and where we do our community playdates on our Discord server. For any kind stranger that comes across this live stream and is wondering what is going on. Okay. No. Can I rotate it 0.1 instead of 0.2? I forgot it was Thursday. It's okay, Matt. I can never get the hang of Thursdays. we've got to end the line of buildings at some point. We have to give up on the line of buildings, and we only have so many right angle ones. I mean, I think one of these I put two together, right? This one is different than this one, but this is already getting quite long. We're gonna have to put buildings on this side, and it's got to be ones that are narrow enough to fit in here. Now, this I don't think is. I mean, it's the right size, but I don't think it's particularly good. Like, I don't really like it. Um, it's just so long. You know, it sticks out the back. Um, Unpopular opinion: Dark Crystal is better than Labyrinth. That is. I'm not gonna say it's on. I don't know if it's unpopular, and I'm not gonna say that it's wrong. I don't actually. I don't know if I have an opinion. Neither of those movies really landed that well with me. Is the thing. I can't remember what. Like, I could go into my spreadsheet for the real list and see what I gave them and for star ratings, and I'll see what my opinion really is looking back. Um, but oh man, that's an interesting. I mean, they're both, you know what, the creature shop, right? That's that's what those movies are known for. Jim Henson, right? I was never much for that stuff, which is probably why they didn't land with me. And I mean, David Bowie in leather is David Bowie in leather, but I don't really swing that way, so it's more of a meme to me. Um, but I don't know. I felt like the Dark Crystal is definitely bolder than the Labyrinth. And for those who have seen both of them, feel free to weigh in. And for those who haven't, I don't know, watch them. They're not bad. Um, I'm not gonna sit out here and like campaign for them because I thought they were okay. Um, but they're movies that I feel like, again, yeah, Dark Crystal. Dark Crystal deserves points because it goes out on a limb so hard. Because it's, you know, all of its characters are non-human, even if they are humanoid. All of its, you know, it has a completely unfamiliar setting, and effectively no grounding in the real world that the Labyrinth has. And it's like, why should you care, right? Why should I care about these creatures? But on the flip side, it it deserves points for that because it goes all in on it. Um, if you get the Revel Big Boy, do not expect the spruce to be stable. No bottom to hold the parts in. That's rough. I haven't done model building in forever. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I can disagree with you. I feel like if I was going to re-watch one of the two, I would probably go Labyrinth. But honestly, I could go either way. I could definitely go either way. I would have to ask Gloria, because they would have a much stronger opinion than I would about. Uh, they would have a much stronger opinion than I would about which one of those films is the better option. Not that you asked for my opinion, but you know. Okay, let's find a spot for this. Um, but yeah, I haven't done model building in forever. I don't really have an opinion on any of the model building companies. I know that people really, really love model building. I mean, it's a great pastime, right? And to come around to something else, I did not like think about the word pastime. I always thought it was past time, like oh, it's something people used to do in the past. Uh, it's, you know, it's something I do regularly, therefore I've done it in the past. No, it's past time, as in you're doing it to pass the time. Uh, I don't know, that one didn't click with me. Probably because I'd never tried to spell it. You know, I've said it out loud, but I've never tried to spell pastime. I would probably have spelled it with a T. I don't know. This winner today is lucky 10,000. Which, I love that sentiment, by the way. Here comes Shortline to upstage me with the stream again. Um, no, I'm kidding. I just see him going to Rare Order. He's been streaming Rare Order a lot lately. I'm bummed that I have not been able to make it to any of his streams. I haven't been able to make it to any of my friends' streams. Which is a shame. Okay, we've got to figure out what we're doing here because we're going to have to end this somewhere. I am very anxious about having to try and figure out building out these suburbs, which are going to be relatively old. Yeah, I don't really like this, but I mean, I guess we're just going to put it there. Okay. My preference is ships staying off the Baltimore issue. Well, someone was gonna. I feel like Baltimore was gonna come up at some point. Now you've done it. You've brought it up. I don't exactly think it's controversial. Like I don't know why we need to stay away from it. It's not. It's not. Like, again, it's not something that needs to be controversial. A ship lost power and hit a bridge and it fell down. We haven't had one of those in a while. I mean, Sunshine Skyway was decades ago, and my first thought when I saw the news was, wow, we haven't had one of these in a while. The crew did, as far as we understand, they did everything they could. They signaled they signaled emergency services as fast as they could, and probably prevented many more people from getting killed. We're very lucky that it happened in the middle of the night. Because without that, we would have had many more people getting killed, I would imagine. Okay. Yeah, it's feel weird to live through an event that'll likely end up with a podcast and slide on a podcast with slides in 40 years. I mean, it's gonna be sooner than that. You and I both know it's gonna be sooner than that. They're gonna make a turnaround on this thing. It'll get figured out as soon as the NTSB report comes out, right? I don't think they should. I don't think anyone should be trying to figure stuff out before then. Let the experts do their work, right? But okay, what is going on with this right here? Yeah, but I'm curious to see what led to the issue, right? So here's my thoughts, right? Because I mean, obviously, I can't speculate on what went wrong, but what I'm really curious for the NTSB to sort of dive into the ship and figure that out, and I have no doubt they will, because it's not going to be like a mysterious act of God's love, right? That the ship just lost power twice in the span of 30 seconds. But what it is going to be, there is going to be some sort of culprit, right? What I'm trying to get to is, I'm glad the ship is still afloat. I'm glad that we have the opportunity to send people in and pick the place apart and figure out, do the forensics without worrying about it being at the bottom of Baltimore Harbor, under many feet of water. I also heard something about there being a fire on board, and I am really curious to see what of the initial thoughts ends up being right and what doesn't. Yeah, I too would like to see some stuff about more dolphins around bridges in waterways like this. Maybe it doesn't have to necessarily be every pillar, because you play the numbers, right? But something that makes sure that if you have a waterway with large ships, with a huge quantity of large ships, like, it's not like this isn't something we'd seen before. Like I said, it's something that it had been a while, but it hadn't necessarily been a while because there were a series of events that dolphins stopped, although I don't suppose we would have heard about those after all. Um, but it has been a while because these things are rare. But even, the lives that were lost and the money that's going to be lost as well. I mean, this will this will affect the trout population. Um, yeah, zero point zero 0.001 or zero point zero 0.001 per year, depending on the bridge. I would say depending on the amount of uh, like whatchamacallit, depending on the amount of large ships that go through a certain area, right? Base it on that. Say like, yeah, if 1/100th of a % of these trips veers off course, how often will this bridge be hit? And if it's like more than once in 100 years, or something like that, I mean, I'm not gonna sit down and crunch the numbers, but you know, more than once in X number of years in the lifespan of the bridge, right? Then you have to insure against it. You have to figure out against it. Casual shipping and what's going on with shipping have good ideas. The ship shouldn't have departed the port, simply put. Well, we'll see about the NTSB. Uh, we'll see what the NTSB has to say. I mean, I don't. The ship not departing port would have helped. Uh, but, that's not what ships are for. Anyway. Kaiserin drops an actual question. I appreciate that. Or Der Kaiser. When you get off the topic of the ship, do you have any tips for building Trainz routes? Oh, I've got many. I've got many, many tips. I've got tips that I have said 1,000 times, and I'll say 1,000 times more. And the first one, and possibly the most important one, is if you want to get a lot of stuff done, find a couple of assets that go well together and stick to them. Find a couple of things that find a couple of things like a grass spline, a couple of trees, a couple of grass splines, a couple of trees, a couple of textures that you like, that look good, that go well together, and put them in a pick list or just put them down on the route so you can grab them all the time and have that be your bread and butter. And I know that sounds obvious, but you will get way more done, way faster, if you're spending less time sifting through the list looking for assets. And I mean, people that are viewers of the channel that have been here a lot have watched me sift through the asset list 100,000 times, and I've probably wasted hours upon hours of my life doing that. I've undoubtedly wasted scores of hours just downloading stuff, sifting through the list, trying to find what the next a set of buildings has to be, what the next okay, have we used this one yet? Yes. What the next row of storefronts or house or whatever. It's the kind of thing where once you have that down, once you have a basic set of assets, you're gonna save yourself tons of time. And that, I feel like, is my favorite tip because it is so universal. Because it doesn't even have to be for one large route, It doesn't have to be... It doesn't matter how large your route is. It doesn't matter how many routes you have. You are always going to get caught out looking for assets, figuring out what grass you want, figuring out what trees you want. If you already know the answer to those questions, you've solved some basic stuff for all of your routes. And yeah, I mean, when you switch biomes, when you want to do something a little bit outside your comfort zone, which you should do, it certainly is good to stretch yourself a little bit. You might not be able to fall back on your laurels the same way that you did before, but at least you have that for most of the time. And that's my most important, most general tip. My second most important, most general tip is take a piece out of Johnny Cash's book. Go one piece at a time. Go, don't try to build Rome in a day. Don't try to build your whole route at once, unless it's very small. Unless it's, maybe. I mean, the sections that I'm building now, I'm being a bad example. But even then, I went up to Pan Am, right? I went from here to about here in one, and then I built up to this river, and then I continued. And, like, okay, that is a lot of tiles. That is several dozen tiles, maybe edging on 100 tiles. Maybe more. But the tile count isn't necessarily important, uh, but it is a reasonable benchmark. The other, probably more important, more reasonable benchmark is how far along linearly your railroad is. Because, like, yeah, this is a lot of work. This is a town, it's a lot of work. But you're not going to break this up necessarily. You're not going to build one side of town and then the other, because you don't want a situation where your right hand doesn't know what your left is doing. Where you have ideas, you have a plan, you have a thought process, and that gets undermined because you get carried away with something. You don't want that to happen. You want to have your stuff figured out. You want to have one cohesive area get built at the same time. But you don't want that area to be too big. Like, I've been building in what are effectively 15-mile segments, which are honestly kind of large. They're not, they're maybe not if you're starting out, you want to do that. I would do 5 or 2 or 10 or something like that. It depends how much scenery you're doing around. It depends how complex that scenery is. It depends on a lot of things. So I can't give you a number. But what I will say is, build in bite-sized chunks and get a chunk done. Like, done, before you move on to the next one. Don't, oh, you know what, I'm just going to go a little ways down and I'm going to build some, stuff down here. I'm going to go a little further to build, the track, right? It's a trap. It is a trap. It's a trap that people get caught in because you don't really think about how much work you're building up for yourself when you go ahead and do the track for a large portion of your railroad, and then you come back and you have to do that all at once. No, if you like building track, which everyone likes building track, that's why we're here. If you like building track, but you don't like building scenery, then the track is your bonus. The track is the little thing you get at the end of building the scenery. Otherwise, you have a huge route made only of grid, and that's all you're gonna have. Okay. So I threw down these L-shaped things here. Now this was supposed to be a major road. Like, this is a major road. This coming through here is a major road. Honestly, I probably shouldn't have put these trees here, because this would have gone straight through here. Whenever this was, we should have like little young'un trees here. So here's what, I'm actually going to scoot these over. Drop spline. I'm going to scoot all the trees over. I'm going to transplant the trees. We're going to be ecologically friendly today. And honestly, I should put a different bridge here. Or like the abutment that makes it look like there was a bridge there. Okay. So, bite-sized chunks, figuring out your assets. I know I've said it in as many words, but the thing with bite-sized chunks is making it so that you can always look back and see the progress. You can always look back and say, okay, I did this today, which, goal setting is important at any scale, to not get discouraged. I know I talked last week about how like discipline is the most important skill you can have, especially with route building, because you want to, you want to push yourself to sit down, or otherwise you're not going to get stuff done. Um, that doesn't necessarily mean you should always be forcing yourself to route build. What it means is you need to not give up. You need to come back to work on the thing, and being able to give yourself that little dopamine hit of look at what I did today. It helps. It helps a lot, which is part of the reason why I have been doing scenery in this area so that I could, drop the camera down and get a screenshot. It's it makes you feel good, right? Uh, it makes you feel like you've accomplished something when you can go and you can take a look at, oh wow, that would have lined up with that. That's kind of interesting. Um, when you can go and you can take a look at this thing that you've made, and yeah, and share it around and stuff like that. But you know what I mean. Um, totally unrelated to there being a former bridge, but is there any town in Tolrind you want you want to be similar to Turner's Falls? So that's a really good question, because I'm actually having to redo my Turner's Falls presentation um, in front of a different group of people, which is going to be very fun. I'm looking forward to it. Um, Turner's Falls specifically, probably not. There are aspects that I have taken from Turner's Falls and dropped them into a couple of other towns, like for example the Power Canal in Mason Valley. That is something that I pretty much ripped straight out of Turner's Falls. It's not supposed to be subtle. Uh, it is just something that I liked that aesthetic, so I went and I grabbed it and I dropped it in. As far as other aspects, Turner's Falls is a really interesting case when it comes to sort of the progeny, sort of the genesis of a specific place, a specific town. There might still be room for something like that on the Tolbrand map, a planned city, quote unquote, that that one genius or madman's desire to make a world, or, to build a city rivaling Holyoke, Massachusetts. Like, that's valid, right? That might there might still be a home for that. Yeah, no, I do mean the bridge out for blood. Yes, that is exactly what I mean. Um, and while I am taking the Addison, the barge bridge, and throwing it into this route, I'm not planning on doing Turner's Falls. Now the thing is, a railroad through a golf course is definitely not out of the equation. In fact, I feel like that would be a lot of fun, and I should do that somewhere. Um, on one of these branch lines, maybe even up here, right? That might make sense. But on the other hand, the whole rest of it, right? The whole backstory, the whole why Turner's Falls. I'm just not sure I have a place for it. It's not like it's even particularly difficult to justify in universe. It's not like it's particularly difficult to say, yeah, a dude bought up 2 square miles and wanted to build a city there. It's not even that much space. It doesn't take that much planning. I mean, it does take an amount of planning, but you know what I mean. It doesn't take like the stars aligning for someone to want a planned city. In fact, I would argue that's fairly common, but usually people don't have the money or the clout to. Usually, those people don't have the money. Those people specifically don't have the money or the clout to want to buy up 2 square miles and try to build a city there. Ellis, can you look, Max? Can you? What? Can I? What are you? What? What is going on? East, are you having a stroke? Um. Anyway. Look, Max. Okay. Anyway. Is Mew in the call? Yeah, he is. Okay. Um. Okay. Oh, and hey, Taki. Ah, we got a good turnout today. I like it when there's people. I like it when there's people that I know, and I like it when there's people that I don't know. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, if you've got foamy friends, feel free to point them at me. I know the algorithm does me no favors more often than not. Uh, it's just the way it is. Okay, you people are in like Wowzers or something, and you've decided to cause chaos. Oh, never mind. Matt is just on his own. Um, okay, this area. Yeah, I'm just slowly filling in, and again, I am worried about the right hand not knowing what the left hand is doing. And I suppose that is another important tip, right? Make a plan. And so many good things come from screwing the plan, right? Just doing what you want. But on this, in this case, I feel like it's valuable, it's important to start out with a plan. A plan that doesn't have to be set in stone. You don't have to have everything figured out. Listen, Matt, if there wasn't someone in the Discord called Mew, I probably would have figured it out earlier. Because I just, I thought East was trying to tell me something about our mutual friend. Uh, it's like asking me if I could bender. Have you ever Matt before? Bacon. Anyway. Yeah, so we've got to get... I want like a good... I guess like an asphalt texture for the back of this? What is this? DS01 road texture. Yeah, okay. I mean, that's as plain as it gets, right? And I'm gonna sort of get the edges with gonna get the edges with sort of muddy, grassy dirt, right? Uh, but yeah. Um, the Admiral's rules for route building. Number one, figure out your assets. Number two, yeah, number one, cover your assets. Number two, uh, build in pieces. Number three, there is no rule three. Number four, I did actually have something I was going to say, and I get distracted by the Monty Python joke. Okay. No. Shoot, what was the other thing that I was going to say about route building, about planning? Yeah, no, have a plan. Okay. Yeah, have a plan. That was number three. Number three is to have a plan, and it helps because you need to know where stuff is going. You need to know where you're building to. And it doesn't have to be the most detailed plan in the universe. It doesn't have to be a, it doesn't have to cover the shape of every yard, how many tracks there are, how many locomotives your railroad company owns. No, it just has to be like, you want to go 15 miles in this direction, you want to cross a major river, and you want you want your main product to be lumber, and that sort of thing. And part of the reason to have a plan is so that you know what you're doing, right? Part of the reason to have a plan is so that you can look at that and say, okay, so I've got to put a river here. But the other part of it is so that you can look at your plan before you start building and find out if there's something wrong, right? Also, thank you, Eastrail. Eastrail said this town is looking good. The biggest, like, pet peeve of mine, maybe I shouldn't call it a pet peeve, but one of the things that always gets me, right? And one of the things that always gets me to go, okay, hold on. Go back and think about this. Like, because I've drawn plenty of maps for people's railroads. I have worked with people on their maps, on their plans. The MPS world is a huge example of this, even though it's helplessly broken now. Um, the there are things, right, that don't happen in real life that people do in their maps all the time. People that know what I'm talking about know that the next words out of my mouth are going to be river splitting, because that is one of those things that every world builder does at some point in their life when they're just drawing rivers because they want rivers to go places. Um, Rivers basically always flow together. They always flow, obviously, downhill. They flow to a larger body of water. They flow into larger rivers. They flow to the sea. Or in some cases, they flow to a large insular lake and then evaporate. Um, yeah, no, he says that in all capitals, and probably remembers, I think that was like rule number one when we were planning the MPS route. And that's just because it's not because it's so heinous, it's because it's a really, really common mistake. Um, and it is, it's important to me to sort of hammer that so that when people go to do the world building, they get that right. Um, and most rared planes are simply lines with dots to symbolize switches. Well, you don't even, if you're doing switches, you're getting too in the weeds, in my opinion. Um, I've drawn so many maps, the largest maps, the best maps. Big, beautiful maps. I have the best maps they've ever seen. It's true, folks. Um, but I do. I have entire binders full of maps that are relics from when everyone in the Iron Horsemen was building a Trainz route, and everyone in the Iron Horsemen, seemingly, had to ask me for um, had to ask me for, you know, a map, me to draw them a map. Um, okay, so I'm going to split this one in half. And yeah, let's see. Let's do a little thing down the side. Oh, I did. What did I say? Did I say I wanted to put a park here? What is Lafayette doing? He's up there. He's upstairs with TJ. Okay. We're going to need to open up this side of the road. Yeah, no, I was only here for half of the river section. What do you mean splitting rivers? Okay. So, it did not... Thank you for the question, Mopac, because sometimes I say things and it's not clear to me that I'm not on the same page as everybody. Uh, it's a... You know the thing when you're in school and the teacher is like, please ask me a question if you have it, because it means that 10 other people have that question and they're just not saying it. That is true in all aspects of life when you're in a group scenario. So I appreciate you saying something, because again, yeah, it hadn't occurred to me that people wouldn't know what I mean when I say river splitting. Um, you're one of today's lucky 10,000 on river splitting. Um, I'll get to what that means in a second, because I feel like I should explain that the second time I've referenced it today. Short version, it's an XKCD. Look up Lucky 10,000. But no, so rivers flow in one direction, right? You know what? Let's draw. Let's draw. Let's grab some like water and draw. You have your body of water, whether it be an ocean, a lake, whatever, and you have a river that goes to it, right? This river is flowing someplace, and it's going in this direction. Now, you might not have the body of water on your map. You might just have a river that you know is flowing in this direction. Which, that's the other thing you need to figure out when you're drawing your maps. Figure out what way your river is flowing, because that tells you what way is downhill. You can figure out downhill before you figure out where the river is flowing, but just know that the two things are intrinsically linked. Now, most of the time, in real life, like 99.999% of the time in real life, the only exception to this is like in Louisiana, where they've got the giant dams to keep the Mississippi River from going where it wants to go. Rivers are doing this. That's an arrow. It looks like a blob. It's pointed in this direction. These are flowing this way, towards the body of water. They're flowing down. Rivers do this. Rivers do not do this. to another body of water, or even the same body of water. They do not split. This is not a thing that happens in real life, in the real world. And it's not like a fluke of our... Can I grab the grid, please? Because I want to put it over. Yes, no, grab the... Whatever. It's not, you know, a fluke, right? It's not me saying this because, like, oh, this never happens. I'm saying this because this legitimately does not work. Like, it's a physics thing. If you have terrain with any sort of gradient, the water is all going to flow downhill. It's all going to flow together, and it's going to carve out a channel so it can keep flowing downhill and together. Some of that water isn't then going to suddenly decide to take a left. Even if it spills out onto what is effectively a... Oh, I said I was going to put a park there. What is essentially a flat surface, as unlikely as that is, it's going to immediately start digging out a channel for itself. Maybe it's just because I've been mostly building off of a dam, but I found a good way to build rivers, finding your mountains first and then plodding down through the crevices. Yes! Yes, exactly. Because water goes down. Water follows those slopes. It rolls downhill. I mean, water made those crevices, right? For, you know, the vast, vast majority of topographic things on the planet Earth are there because of water. You've got, or at least were affected by water in some way. Lafayette, what are you doing? What is he doing? Lafayette! Get down! It's just upstairs. Lafayette, go lie down. Quit being a pest, go lie down. I know, bless you. Go lay down. I don't trust him. He's not to be trusted. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Rivers are not smooth, rounded divots. You look on the curves of the river, one side is sloped, the other is almost a cliff. Yeah. Rivers, water does stuff to the world around it, and it is oftentimes very pleasant looking, but it's not pleasant stuff. It is, you know, it can be sometimes violent. It can be forceful. The mountains are carved away by wind and rain. The landscape that we live in is defined by the movement of water. And, like, I say make a plan, but I guess Rule 3A is to remember that everything is defined by your water, and your water will follow a handful of very basic principles as to where it goes and where it wants to go. Michigan is a translation of large like Detroit is French for straight, towns like Three Oaks, Grand Rapids, Big Rapids. That's another one, yeah. Description plus geographic feature, local Native American translation of description plus geographic feature. Because water is just that damn important. It is that important, and it always has been that important. It is universally important. It is something that is necessary for human life and survival, and because of that, not only does water define your topography and your geography, but it also defines where your towns are and where your people live, and in a lot of cases where your resources are, and that's why a railroad line exists, right? And I am getting a little too far in the weeds about what makes a good map, right? Because you can have a beautiful map that has no functioning industries, and its purpose is to, you know, just run trains, right? This is a train game. It's a train simulator. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be realistic, even. But it is, you know, that is what it is at its most basic. Those crazy that there is really no such place at the beginning of a river. Water all comes from tributaries and water tables. Yeah, I mean, uh, there was a photo the other day of like the Volvo that helped find the source of the Nile River. And it's like that's kind of a misnomer. And I remember watching a documentary as a kid about looking for the source of the Nile River. It's like it's just the farthest you can go before it stops being like identifiable, right? Uh, the Mississippi River was supposed to like on the earliest maps, the supposition was that it ended at like a large lake somewhere, and that was creating the Mississippi. But in reality, it's just like a bunch of little streams that eventually become a big stream, and that becomes a small river, and then that becomes a larger river, and suddenly you have the largest river in the continental, the largest river in North America, one of the largest rivers in the world. Um, and the same goes for the Nile, and the same goes for the Amazon, and the same goes for every river ever, because that's how rivers work. Uh, Again, I come back to it's a very simple set of rules that water follows. Water goes downhill. Water likes to be with more water. It goes together, not apart. Um, and, the most accurate statement of where does a river come from, you have to look up like a map of the watershed, right? When I walk down to the river here, walk down to our local river, which is the Woonasquatucket. Some OGs from older Minecraft servers might remember that name. Before I even lived by the Woonasquatucket, I loved the name. The Woonasquatucket River has a reasonably broad watershed in the area, and when I walk down to the river, there's a little sign. And I believe it's sort of a sign about curbing pollution, or some such thing. It may just be informational. I've never really read it that closely, but what it does have, what I have looked at rather closely, because, you know, probably autistic, is the map of the watershed in our district of Providence. You can see our river, and you can see the other rivers in the vicinity, and you can see where, if you are in a certain place and you were to dump a bucket of water on the ground, what river would it end up in? And that is really cool, and I like that. Because I like maps. And then that's probably why people were asking me to make their map. I say, for some reason, that is the reason. The reason is because I liked doing it. And because I cared about all this stuff. I cared about making sure the water went together, and making sure where the slopes are makes sense, and making sure where all the high area is and the low area is. And I've talked about the sort of stuff like that on Tolbrand a little bit when I've looked at the map and where the ridge lines are and where the high points are and the low points. I've talked about the best ways to... Why are they all coming out big? I want small trees. I've talked about the best ways to look through, or the best ways to do terrain to make sure that you're getting a realistic slope, because everything is larger and smaller than you think it is. Everything is larger and smaller. The slopes are all huge and gradual, and over there is higher than over here, but you wouldn't be able to tell in real life, or even really in Trainz. I don't know if it's actually higher over there. It should be, but I don't think I've done that. But if you look at something like this is an area that I feel like I've done fairly well, but it's still too big. The height change is too big. You've got a difference of height here. Your track is lower than the ground. And then over here, without changing the height of the track, they're almost level. They are level, because you have a level crossing. And if you go further on, the track ends up on an embankment. And this track here is fairly flat. fairly. It's not flat. And that's another thing. Track is rarely flat. It doesn't change gradients very often because you like to stick to ruling grades and because you like to stick to, steady gradients. It's easier to build that way. It's easier to sort of cut through the earth and move it to your will than it is to have a train go down and then come back up. Everyone should know what I'm talking about. It's easier for building that way. It makes sanity work. Yes, you could abandon civil engineering entirely and place tracks directly on the ground at the whim of the ground. But that's not a very good way to build a railroad. You end up getting insane gradients, and things get all out of whack very, very quickly. No. You want a railroad with embankments and cuts. You want a railroad whose track does not move very much, does not go up and down very much. You don't want a roller coaster. Everything is bigger and smaller than you think. There are more cuts and embankments, more culverts and little bridges on your average stretch of railroad, road, any linear thing, which, I mean, is, I suppose, limited to railroads and roads, but you know what I mean. There is very little that is perfectly flat in this world. So you always should have, you don't have to model it because it's a pain, but out there is always grade. There is always a gradual shape of the landscape from high to low. And that is the bigger that is smaller than you think. The change is very small. The landscape is very big. The world is, the world is macro and micro. And within the macro, there is micro. Within the larger, flat, gradually sloping area, there are dips and there are crests. There are things that will become cuts and fills. There's all of that. It's all there all the time. Take a ride on any railroad in, anything but the flattest parts of the world, I suppose. But even in Kansas, you'll find it. Flatter than a pancake, Kansas. And you will see variation. You will see engineering work that had to be done. You will see cuts and fills. You will see little bridges. You will see culverts. All that stuff. And why is it all there? Why is it all there all the time? Because that's where water wanted to go. Because water doesn't make flat surfaces. Water makes entropy. Water makes differences, which that isn't really what entropy means. But water wants to bring things down. Water wants to erode things. Water wants to change the world around it. I guess it is trying to make entropy. It's trying to make the world flat. But hold on, scrapbook data. Water is a weird Doctor Who villain. That could be the title of something. Can I rotate this? Yeah, I suppose I can. Water wants to steal the moon. That's a good one. Yeah. Water's a villain. But also water is literally the best. Always drink water. I'm a proud hydro homie, and I used to be a member of that other subreddit before it was closed. If you know what it is, you know what it is. If you don't know what it is, I'm sorry, but I cannot say it on this stream or ever. But yeah, I mean, water is good. Water is, again, essential for human life. Water is going to define everything about your world. everything about your railroad. So I guess number 3 is have a plan. And number 4 is just respect water. Don't respect fish that are in the water, but do respect water. Um, anyway, the fish and I have entered an uneasy alliance against women. Or what is the other one? It is my lawyer has, uh, my lawyer has, um, my lawyer has advised me not to elaborate further on my relationships with fish or women. I laughed way, way, way too hard. Um, it's a travesty that the old Hydro Homies subreddit is gone, isn't it? Isn't it? It was a wonderful place. It was a wonderful and unique corner of the internet, and the new one, it just isn't the same. It doesn't have the same feeling of like of of bodaciousness, if that's the word. Probably not the word I'm looking for, but no, it does. It was. It was. I thought it had something to do with boobs. Anyway, um, Alice, the more dead you get, the more you turn into a walking, talking public service announcement. Yeah, good. Drink water. That is my public service announcement. Um, I can't. I don't understand how people don't. You know, I mean, I do understand it. It's not that hard to understand, I suppose. But it's just like, oh my god, it's right there. It's even free in most places. You go to a restaurant, they give it to you for free. Drink it. Uh, could I have a Diet Coke? No. Um. Anyway, yeah. No. And it's the thing with drinking water, right? Now this is going to be a tangent. The thing with drinking water is if you haven't had water in a long time, if what you're used to and what your tastes and your body are used to is like dark fizzy soda, right? Coca-Cola and Pepsi and whatever, like stuff that you're basically drinking sugar in a can. Uh, of course, water isn't going to taste like much, and you might not enjoy it really, but you can break yourself of loving the terrible sugary sodas. And I say as I have a soda in front of me, like I've got it's the only the only soda that I really drink. I mean, occasionally I have like a Fanta or something, but that's only when it's in the neighborhood, or like a Sprite. I don't mind Sprite either. I can't do dark sodas because I was never really introduced to them, number one, and then number two, you come back around to it, and it tastes like drinking liquefied sugar. It doesn't taste good. I can understand why people drink it. I can understand why people like it. I have tasted it and not immediately gone, ugh, that's terrible. I've tasted it and gone like, okay, I see. Like, I get it. But I don't I don't want it. I don't want that. I don't want that to be I don't want that to be enjoyable, right? Because the moment that it is, I'm losing a fight, right? I am fighting a losing battle against health. Uh, I literally used Cheerwine as my drink of choice for a drinking game because it was something I didn't want to drink. Um, it was it was kind of fun. I mean, I don't hate Cheerwine. I don't even I definitely can't say I hate soda. I don't dislike soda. I like to go to the Yacht Club distributor, which is our local soda company, and take out a 12 pack and take it home and throw it in the fridge and just sort of sip from them while I'm sitting out there. Especially if I put it in the mini fridge on the porch and it's the summer and I'm doing work from home and I'm on my desk out there and the air conditioner isn't keeping up and it's just like sweltering, right? Because I don't have a way to make New England frozen lemonade at home, I have to settle for New England Yacht Club soda. Um, this looks cool. Um, but the funny monster make me go zoom. Yeah, that's the other thing is like we make jokes. I made as many jokes as I possibly could about the Panera lemonade, but oh my god, people definitely like How are people not dying from energy drinks constantly? Maybe they are, and I'm just not paying attention, but it just seems like you're asking for a heart attack. Um, why you have an AC on your uninsulated porch? It's not uninsulated. The doors are just really gappy. The walls definitely have insulation. I know. I tore into them myself. Um, it's just not a very well insulated porch. Um, Sweet tea is like 1/3 water. Most of this stuff is like it's Mopac. It's water is the ingredient you start with. I would hope it's like at least 1/3 water. Water is the first like when you put coffee into coffee, like when you make coffee, the water is still water. It's just water with coffee in it. It's not southern sweet tea. It's still mostly water. Like it's water with stuff in it. Like most drinks are water with stuff in it. The only things that aren't are like milk, I guess. But even then, I'm pretty sure it's milk is just water with stuff in it. Is it not? I don't know. I don't know milk that well. I don't really do milk. That's not really a me thing either. Um, if your drink is 1/3 water though, that's a frighteningly low amount of water. Yeah, like like Matt just said, if it's 1/3 water, you're making the sludgiest tea ever. Yeah, no, it is water with stuff in it to make it sweet tea, but it's not like 1/3 sugar by volume. It's sugar dissolved in water. Um, I mean, however many hundreds of pitchers of sweet tea and a ton of water goes into it. Yeah, so does every drink. Like this isn't this shouldn't be a revelation. Please don't let this be a revelation. Uh, everything has water in it. Not a milk maestro. No, I'm not. I'm not a milk maestro. Is that the equivalent to hydro homies? Because if it's not, it should be. Hold on. I need to put like some cobbles in here. I think, and I don't want them to be covered in grass. Um. Okay. There we go. Oh, you know what? Them covered in grass does not look half bad. Um. No idea who you are, but hi, how are you? I'm doing good. I don't know who you are either, but welcome to the stream, Flying Scoots. YouTube's been recommending most random live streams lately. Well, you know what? Earlier I said something about the algorithm has not been on my side. Because, like, last year, sometimes random episodes of the Terminus podcast would get picked up by the algorithm and given, like, 40,000 views. It was completely ridiculous. I didn't understand why or how it was happening. But it seems to have dropped off since then. And honestly, since the webhooks broke in the Discord, the views have dropped off too. Like, people don't subscribe. They just sit and they wait for the thing to come up and then they click on it. I don't understand. But I'm not I don't really care all that much. But it is nice to get the word out there for when people want, when people are maybe interested in Steam Locomotive trading cards. TheIronHorseman.com, buy trading cards. But no, I suppose that it's, I don't know, YouTube just hands things around sometimes. It's an enigma wrapped in a mystery. But yeah, no, I'm doing wonderful, Flying Scoots. I hope you enjoy and stick around. We are building a town called Bellington right now. I don't know how. Oh shoot! I didn't want to place that. No, I wanted to grab the thing here. Give me this. I don't know if this is completely foreign to you, Trainz Railroad Simulator, because I have no idea when people show up here if it's like literally the most random live stream or if it's just like a train adjacent thing. Kind of looks like combat mission but trains, which is a weird way to put it. Oh, I don't know what combat mission is. You're completely welcome to explain that if you'd like. I understand it may be a lot of words, so if you don't feel like typing it, you're welcome to also not. Matt says it's somewhat valid, so Matt knows what it is. Matt, if Scoots doesn't explain it, you're up. But this is a train simulator, and I'm not much for driving the trains. I just like building the world. So this is our world, which is enormous, and I could take a little tour of the highlights, but for now I'll just go to Pan Am, which is a small grain town, and please ignore all of the circles. Oh wait, I can hide them like this. Although now you can see less, but alas. Highly detailed realism milsim war game that's really close to a tabletop game than normal games, so the graphics are low poly, but the mechanics are very deep and a lot more simulated than you'd assume. You know, I certainly have a sweet spot for those kinds of games. Games that don't really care. Games that care the most about getting the gameplay experience. Noita has to be one of my favorite games of all time, Noita. Side-scroller, pixel, it's like if you turned Powder Game into a roguelike. Sadly, I cannot drive tanks around here and shoot up the joint, but I can drive trains at least, if I so desire. These streams, sadly, not much action. Also, I wish it had like the attention to detail and the detailed physics, etc., or systems that that something like that might ask for, or something like that might demand. But at least Trainz has an AI system that does not work. Alas. We take what we get. I have a lot of the AI on this map programmed so the trains run themselves, but they don't actually run themselves. They fail at doing that. And I'm going to nuke all of the AI and start over as soon as I'm done with this town, which anywhere from months to years. Oh shoot, wrong one. This one. I want. Okay, so this looks really dumb. But I think I'm going to leave that because I don't really know what else to do with it. I'm also going to need to put the industries in here at some point. That's going to be a problem of its own. Grab the Araba, fill in this corner. See, if I were to get back into modeling, I probably wouldn't. I would take models home, and sit them on the shelf in boxes and leave them there. Like, never do them. Ain't nobody got time for that. I got this to do. But if it provides something to do while listening to me and keeping this up on a second monitor or first monitor or whatever, then you're absolutely welcome. That's very cool to do model building during this. I know Jader is always doing it during the podcast. Anyway, yeah, no, Matt, I think the system deserves it. I think standardizing, because I've learned a couple of things. I have a couple new tricks in my books when it comes to use of track marks and couplet track mark and things like that. Frankly, my system cannot handle the AI where it is most of the time, and the rest of the time it just doesn't work anyway. So I'm tempted to nuke the AI, return all the trains to their sheds, return all of the cars to the yards and the industries, and just run it myself when I feel like it, when we're doing stuff like iPortaling with everybody else. When we're sending trains around, if I have cars or I want to send cars to someone else's map, this is the map I'm going to use it from, or for. Therefore, I should have it ready to run instead of AI set up. As much as I love the AI, and I may set up a bunch of a bunch of like subroutines where you could program the train to do something. Why do I keep clicking off of this? Where you could just tell the train to like, oh, run the main line, right? Go do all the station stops. Like, that's something that I could do. But I'm not sure I want to bother with setting up the whole AI again, at least until the dust settles around Living Railroad. And if at the end of the day, that's going to do everything that I want to do with having the trains run themselves, then, I can dust my hands of this whole thing. I feel like there are not many things that I feel like I'm in, like, the 1% of, right? There are not many things that I feel like that I top the charts in. I feel like Trainz AI usage, I have a claim, right? I have a claim uh, to something. I have a lot of experience. I have probably more than your average, definitely smarter than your average bear, probably more than 90-95% of the Trainz community. I would guess. And I hope I'm right, because I have no idea. I have no idea. I mean, a survey would be really neat to see. I'd love to see, like, how many hours do you spend programming the Trainz AI? God, this area looks good. This area looks so good. Just need to put cars in the lots and lines and things. I'm so happy with this. So, what if you made a session of just AI as a rail fanning session? That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to automate the whole route so that you would never have to sit down and run a train if you didn't want to. If you wanted to run a train, you could grab one. You could tell the AI to stop, and you could just pick up its schedule from there. And you should be able to figure out what to do. And if you can't figure out what to do, just watch it one time around, and then you'll know what to do. I think it's the graphics when you zoom out. My mind immediately snaps to CM because it looks like the same sans all the editor markers. Yeah. Oh, the editor markers. Oh, the editor markers. It's a point of contention. People have told me you should really, like, stop them. Like, you can turn off the spinning. I mean, I can use the other version of the editor, which is here. And like I showed, that turns off the markings. The circles, anyway. They're still there as dots. But I'm much more familiar with this because of how long I've been doing it for. And on top of that, the circles help me. Because they let me know if the game has crashed. If I am not moving my mouse, right, I don't know if the game has crashed. And it's been a lot better than it's a lot better than it used to be. But once upon a time, that was a really important thing. That was me going like, oh god, okay, is it frozen? Do I touch it? Do I let it, like, sort of sit, settle, figure itself out? Or am I good to keep working? The circles make for a good barometer to let you know if stuff is broken or not. If stuff is actively breaking. And yeah, it's not the greatest, and honestly, just moving your mouse solves that problem. But it's too built in for me. Anyway, what is that road asset, or are you painting them in? I may need a better one. These are all Yarnish. If you got the DLS working, because I know it wasn't working for you earlier, jump onto the DLS, type in Yarnish, pull up all the roads, download all the roads, all the different ones that are available, because boy, are they a godsend. Mason, thank you for doing the roads. Oh, you know what I did earlier? No, I didn't. Okay, never mind. I thought I missed something. Which you've said the roads, and now I want to work on the roads. I want to build out intersections. All of the easy intersections are done. This needs to be macadam, so I might as well replace that. If I grab this, and then I click here and click here. Oh, nope. Click here and click here. No, I gotta hold shift, not control. Click on all of these three things, and then I say replace spline with selected asset. That is going to be what that road looks like. Same thing with this one. You can see how far we have to come, and a lot of these things I've just left in spots because I don't know what to do with them yet. This is an interesting place for us to start in, because we have sort of started where the town started. Oh, we need a town hall. We need more than one town hall, because we've got Bellington and South Bellington. We need to figure out where that's going to be, and it's probably right here next to the cement plant. What do you think of my new route, the revisioner route, making it without all the base maps? I mean, yours is the route where you have all of the roads up on stilts, right? Where I said you need to get in there with a height tool. I love it. It looks great. I am very impressed by the scenery work that you've been doing. And, I mean, in no small part, it's kind of inspiring, because scenery work is hard. I want to grab I could have done this in the other mode, but I'll just do it here. But yeah, the Yarnish roads are great. And that's going to go about as far as there, and then it's going to stop because concrete plant. Let's see. Let's look up hall. Let's see if we can find a good town hall. Because, okay, Toronto City Hall. Okay, that's maybe a little out of era for the 1950s. I have no idea when the Toronto City Hall was built. Also, what is this ramp for? Did they park cars on the roof? That's an interesting building, at the very least. Never seen that before. Never been to Toronto. This looks like that building that the lady went crazy and kept having people add on to until she died. Gloria definitely knows what I mean. What is this? This is a train station. This is cool. I think we should use this. I hate that clock. But I think we should use this. Oh, shoot. Turn it around like this. That's the front of the building. Where is the building? Oh, he's asleep over there. Okay, I thought I heard him grumbling. Meridian County Courthouse had a jail on the top floor. How many floors was it? I mean, that kind of makes... I mean, you got to put the jail somewhere, right? It'd be weirder if it's like... I don't know what would be worse if it was like 10 stories or 3. I'm going to imagine that it's like 3. Meridian County Courthouse. I got really excited for you, Der Kaiser, because in the set of trading cards that we're working on... Oh, this is cool. That's a cool building. I'm putting that with the mills. In the set of trading cards that we're working on, I found a locomotive that said... Or that was built for the Meridian Lumber Company, and I got real excited. Because I was like, oh my god, we got representation from Meridian. And then I realized it's Meridian, Louisiana. Which is like it's like an empty location. Like there's nothing there anymore. It was just where some railroad tracks were. But for a minute, I was super excited and ready to tell you, like, you won't believe what I got for this batch. No, it's in Louisiana. But, you know. Oh, boy. Hey, remember what I said about everything's not flat? Everything's not flat, including this. Trainz Mayor, yes, which town hall? For weekend tabletops. Yes, which gun? It's a synergy. I appreciate this so much. Also, this building does kind of float, so we're going to have to lower it. Yeah, wow, that was very floating. That was much more floating than I'd expected. Else, you know what you could have for this batch? A Shay. Yeah, no, I know, but we're not. No, we're good. We're not doing that right now. We will do. So you and I have been trying to have a sit down for like weeks at this point. Which you joined the other day during Railroader, and if you had said like, "Hey, I'm here for sit down," like, I'm here if you want to chat, then I probably would have immediately bailed to a different Discord channel so that we could talk specifically about shenanigans. But the whole deal with the Shays, I don't know what's going on. I read something about gear ratios. You people were talking about gear ratios. In like the drive shaft of the locomotive, and I don't know where to begin with that, because that's daunting. But if it means we can do numbers, it means we can do numbers. Now, there's only one other thing that I am hung up about when it comes to geared engines as trading cards. The what and the what. Yeah, so, okay, so Flying Scoots, if you were not a steam engine person, there are steam locomotives with geared drive shafts for additional torque, which seems completely ridiculous for a steam locomotive unless you've seen one. Oh, okay, the tractive efforts listed on the website because gear ratios are relevant to stats. Well, someday we're going to have to calculate something, though, right? Unless Lima has listed all of the Shays they've ever made, which wouldn't be overly surprised actually. Um, but no, the we need schools. We got a town hall. We need like a courthouse, which probably is included in this. We probably need a jail. Um, yeah, I'm a race car guy, so I kind of get that gear drive shafts are probably a good idea. Most steam locomotives did not have drive shafts at all. Um, is the thing. So that's why they're weird. That's why they're presenting a problem for our trading card shenanigans. Um, because usually you can. Oh shoot! I wanted to hide the window, not go into here. Usually there's like a formula you can do to calculate the tractive effort of a locomotive. However, these things defy that, as far as I've ever understood. There's a lot of Shea stats available. The builder's card can, if the builder, yeah, that's an if. That's an if, Matt. You should know more than anyone. We just spent like 2 weeks trying to figure out stuff for the Porterfield and Ellis engine. Um, is the rock crawler of the train world. That's a really good that's a good analogy. Okay. So along here, I probably want some. What do I want along here? Where are the schools going to be? Because the stream is alive for me. Did the stream die? So really slow, really torquey. Exactly. Exactly. I actually think instead of having this set of commercial buildings here, I might put the school down here. Let's see what we've got for schools. These two towns are not going to be in the same school district. Baffin Primary School. Okay, this looks a little bit modern, but it's not bad. Building School. Okay. Building School Hall. Clearview Elementary School. This is, I mean, that's also cool, but way too modern. Consolidated Conrail, the elementary school. Yeah, this is about right for the era. But yeah, Matt, I mean, we need to have a way to calc these things. I'm not like diametrically opposed to. Oh, we've got a football field. That's cool. I'm not diametrically opposed to having geared locomotive cards after I have a little chat with. This is really, really small. After I have a little chat with the folks on Locobase about it. But oh, there's a welding school. That's kind of neat. That. I'm gonna go put that with the industrial buildings because that looks really cool. You know, because I don't know why they don't do it. And the other thing that I'm curious about is if we can, in fact. Oh, that's not a bad one. It says high res. It's not great. If we can, in fact, reliably calculate data for this, like, what I want is I want to take a look at the numbers that we have. Take a look at the numbers that we have for the different shades and see if we can back calculate the thing. I think I used this in Mason Valley, but like way away from the track. This is a cool one. This belongs here. This belongs here. So does probably this. Oh, that's kind of small though. This maybe can go in South Bellington. Okay. And then yeah, we should see if we can back calculate the numbers that we have for tractive effort. And if we can do that, then we can develop a formula, and then we can use that to apply to other locomotives that we don't have a stat card for, and that we can't dig up, you know, that sort of thing for. This looks very similar to the elementary school that I went to. Do you just got U.S. trains for now, it seems? This is based in the U.S. Or it's in a U.S.-like area. It's not in anywhere in the United States, but it's United States-esque. But there's stuff from all around the globe. I mean, I could grab, you know, let's see. What's the first international thing that I find if I start scrolling through here? I think that's actually Australian, but that's not particularly exciting. They're very similar. Kraus Maffei stuff, well, that's American. It was built in Germany. Okay, here's all the Japanese railway stuff. These are Japanese Shinkansen. Um, oh, as far as the trading cards go, we do also have some foreign stuff as well. As I was talking about earlier, the this upcoming trading card batch, because it is um, logging, and because most of the world was logged, most of Europe anyway, was pretty thoroughly logged before the advent of the steam locomotive. You have um, you have a situation where you don't really have too many logging locomotives popping up in other countries, at least in other countries that were heavily industrialized during the steam era. However, there are exceptions to this, and the fact of the matter is there were a lot of countries, particularly Asian countries, that had untapped virgin forests that were then sort of taken advantage of by Western countries once the world became more globalized. Uh, in particular, the Insular Lumber Company of Negros Island in the Philippines, uh, American company, brought in American locomotives, that sort of thing. Um, it is an interesting, yeah, all of Siberia. I was really trying to find Russian logging engines to fit one into this pack, and I just couldn't get one that fit. Couldn't get one. Like, the only one that was sort of being recommended to me was the C2, which is a Russian engine that there are now many. The designs of it were sold to the Chinese, and they also have a ton, and that's some of the last like revenue steam in the world, or it was. Uh, it's um, it is a lot of it's a lot of interesting history for sure. Um, and I'm Russian, funnily enough. Oh, interesting. Um, yeah, I wanted to find one. We have in one of the earlier batches we produced a card for the what we here in the States call the Russian decks, which the Russian decapod is a certain wheel arrangement of locomotive, and these were for export to Imperial Russia. And after the revolution, things got shaken up. They ended up not being sold to Russia. They were used on railroads in the U.S., and there were a couple of them still around. Um, so that's a particularly famous class, and a we have a oh, you know what? I need the make Russia communist again. Oh boy. Um, don't mind the memes. The the oh, welcome back, Bryson. Yeah, we had a card of those kicking around because it's an unusual wheel arrangement. It was something you picked out. I think it was in the first batch. I think it was in the first batch. It's a rare card these days because a lot of those, our early stuff went off of Kickstarter. And those cards got mailed out to people that are not really in the community, that just, you know, um, that we basically never heard from again. I know someone who bought like 10 packs and then just like distributed them to his friends and family, and I don't know where any of them ended up. I don't know any of those people, and they've never like joined the Discord to say, hey, I have trading cards I want to play. Um, but it is what it is. I'm not complaining. They got sold. We got off the ground, right? Are these facing the wrong way? They are facing the wrong way. I don't know why that didn't register. Make Russia great again. Yeah, I lay my roads and tracks out on streets to get a feel for the natural height. I feel like you should use a dem. I know you're not doing that, but I feel like you should. Um, Dems are good for you. I want to do. I'm bringing KG back. You should. KG back was right there. Um, at any rate, so yeah, no, we need to figure out stuff with Shays. We have, I think, we have a Romanian engine, but the thing that I'm getting at, right? The thing that I'm coming around to, the long and winding road, this leads to the fact that most of these foreign, most of these locomotives that worked doing logging in foreign countries were all built in the were built in the U.S. Were built in one specific plant in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The Baldwin Locomotive Works made more locomotives than I think anyone else on on Earth, um, and like the numbers are absolutely absurd, and the diaspora is absurd. They're everywhere. They're all over the place. They are, uh, they're everywhere from Europe to Japan. Um, it's completely fascinating. This was a builder that was absolutely prolific in the export scene, and I'll tell you why. And I know this is taken from a bit of like urban legend is not the right word, but hearsay. Um, Other locomotives works they might have had the workmanship, but Baldwin always had the best price. They were cheap. The Baldwin locomotives were cheap. How did they end up on shoestring railroads across America and across the world? Because they were cheap. Uh, the majority of 1930s to 1940 Soviet Russian trains are all designed and are licensed copies from American designs. Look up the Ford Model AA and then Gaz AA trucks. Yeah. Well, that stuff was a lot of that was Lend-Lease as well, which is another fascinating, really cool page in history, and in the story of the Second World War, um, and everybody copies everybody, right? Uh, but beyond just the designs, just these things that were export, super export. You mean like the AA-20 being a copy of the 9000? The AA-20 is not a copy of the 9000. The AA-20 is not a copy of anything. The AA-20 is the AA-20, and it is what it is, and nothing less. Or when they copied the 9000. Yeah, no, okay, so two people have got the same idea. I don't, I don't, I it just is. I don't want to attribute that thing to the 9000 class. I mean, is that the factual story? Because I'm not familiar, if so. But it just always struck me as like we're going to build the largest locomotive. It struck me as the El Gobernador story, right? It struck me as we are going to build the largest locomotive in the world, and then they did, and it sucked. Which again, coincidentally, that's the story of El Gobernador. Who would have thought? Who could have seen this coming? Okay, I'm gonna put trees back here. Um, let's jump back into Surveyor 2.0. It's already 9:10. Gloria should be home soon. I'm looking forward to that. I've got a ping. I've got multiple pings. Why am I being pinged? Okay, thanks, Obster Vestibule. Don't appreciate that. I'm the victim of a hate crime. Okay. Scrapbook data. Okay, hold on. We gotta do the filters before we delete something. Texture overwrite, meshes overwrite, splines, none. And effect layers overwrite. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I can't really click and drag because it does weird things. Walked away the wrong lesson for locomotive design. Yeah, okay, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I definitely agree that it was the wrong lesson if that's the case. Stories of Soviet advisor visiting the United States are also they're always very entertaining. Um, just it's a culture shock, right? I mean, not even to get into like the whole Cold War thing, but it's a culture shock. I mean, it's a culture shock. You go anywhere, you go to any other country like that. I spent 2 weeks in Italy, which is the only opportunity that I've had to go abroad, sadly. but it's just a very different world. You'd think it's not, you'd think you're going to at least, I mean, things are more similar than they are different, but you would be surprised how different it is, even in a country that is, you know, ostensibly in the same sort of sphere of influence. I mean, Italy is, I mean, it's not an English-speaking country, but it's part of the Western world. It's part of Europe. It's, you know, familiar, right? It's a place that people go on vacation a lot. Um, so you'd think it's just something you can jump into, but you start digging into it. It's just like it's not Olive Garden, right? The cuisine is all different. The recipes, and some of it is the authentic, right? But you're used to your home. Um, I was going to drag some of my American friends over to Russia for a bit, and then the funny moment happened. Yeah, that. Um, yeah. I don't really have very much to say about that hasn't already been said. So I will say that it's a real shame about the funny moment because I would love to visit the Rare Museum of St. Petersburg in St. Petersburg. It seems very, very cool and very well put together. And of course the collection is extensive and fantastic. Um, and it's one of those things where we talk about, I'd like to go abroad again, of course. And we talk about doing trips as a group to visitation rules are interesting, closer to stuff that you'd expect from the Soviets than you'd think. You want me to get into it. I can't say I'm not curious. I can't say I'm not curious. I didn't think that. Yeah, I mean, with the sanctions and everything being the way it is, I am not. I'm surprised that anyone is really willing to, you know, do, to visit, right? Um, but I suppose even when war is going on, for so many people, life just goes on. It's it's interesting to see what catastrophic changes in the world we live in do and don't affect, and how I always think about how lucky I am that there are there are big things going on in the world. There are many big things going on in the world every day. Everything from the aforementioned Baltimore Bridge collapse to wars to famines and extreme weather and everything like that. And I get to watch it all on TV. I feel like we don't really we don't really internalize how lucky we are to not be affected by these things all the time. And that's why my curiosity is getting the better of me, but also it's a window on the world. It's an opportunity to be able to talk to somebody that knows. Um, you're supposed to always know where you are and what you're doing. And for any weird, I'm the one I'm the one catching flack for it. Oh, you need to sponsor them for a visa, come into the country, they're registered to your address, and you function as their chaperone. Uh, Practice is not really an issue as we aren't in the union anymore, but the letter of the law is still there. Damn. I mean, that is interesting. It's interesting that the letter of the law is still there, because the thing about like defunct laws being on the books is that they're still on the books, right? Somebody could, if they had a like an agenda is not the word I'm looking for, but say a reason, apply those laws. I mean, there are some things like not every law is automatically enforced, right? And we're gonna get we're gonna wrap back around to the trading cards here in a second, because the thing with using photographs is in the U.S. copyright law is quite extensive. It lasts for, in some cases, over 100 years after either the publication or the death of the publisher, or the death of the original creator, I should say. Um, but if I were to take a photo off of a website that somebody's put up, whether they've put it up, legally or not, as far as copyright goes, put it on one of these trading cards, print 35 of them, or we don't make 35, but, you know, print 30 of them and put them into circulation, sell them off the website. I wouldn't, like the police aren't about to come battering down my door, right? They're not going to show up and say, you used a photo that was still in copyright, you're going to jail. That wouldn't happen unless the copyright holder, who is either the original creator or somebody they've signed away the rights to, or their next of kin or something like that, sees it, first of all, figures out who I am, second of all, which is not hard because my stuff is all publicly available because I run the trading card thing. And then okay, you know what, I feel like I should put a thing here too. So I get distracted by the conversation in the chat. My bad. I mean, I'm trying to read and pay attention to that as well, but tangent leading. Unless somebody makes a fuss about copyright being broken, no one gets in trouble for copyright being broken, right? And that is not really by design. It's a little bit, I won't, sort of ruminate on the pros and cons of such a thing. But that's the fact of the matter, right? So, okay, is this straightened or not? I cannot tell. So, I sort of think about that, right? There's a couple of photos that I don't know if the photographers are still alive anymore. One of them, in fact, I know is deceased, but I wasn't, I'm not going to try to sort of just use it, right? I'm not gonna use it and say, well, he's not gonna come after me because he's dead. I don't know who else might have had the rights to that photo. I don't know who else might have, might notice, right? And then do some sort of lawsuit on his behalf. And I don't want to find out. I'm not in the business of finding out. I would not like to F around and find out, as it were. Anyway, if when you're going up, don't lose your papers, you're issued temporary foreigner's ID, and you have to surrender it to leave the country. If you lose it, you can't leave. Oh, no. That's never good. Our government will not let you in the embassy to help you. Or will not let your embassy help you. I can't see the end of it. Yeah, and your. The word is your. Kind of rude, not gonna lie. But yeah, I am hoping for. I mean, ain't we all? I'm hoping for a better future. I'm hoping for a world where this all comes down someday, and I can go visit Russia. I can go visit the Rare Museum in St. Petersburg and not worry about not being able to get home. Not worry about what might happen. And travel is sometimes just like that. And it's not great. But unfortunately, despite the globalized world we live in, despite the world being smaller than ever, and us being able to talk to each other from thousands of miles away with relatively little latency, without any problems at all, our ability to make connections is stronger than ever, and we have the world at our fingertips. But there are still things that are not always in bounds, not always clear, and not always perfect. And that's why we need to never give up about making our world better, about making this a better place and more whole place and more friendly place. Because what is making a friend on the internet now can be an important connection later in life. What is, kindness can mean something much more down the line. It just helps, It helps to be the best you can be for yourself and the people around you. Okay, this is looking great, though. This is looking really great. I'm really happy with this. I need actual water because that's not helping anymore. I have a little bit of water. After all, we only got 40 more minutes or so, and then we'll be wrapping up. Now, I don't know where to put this football field. I figured we could have this school sort of in the middle of everything here. That doesn't not make sense to me. This is all going to be reasonably suburbanite. But I'm sort of wondering if we can get some row houses in here. I don't know if we have any downloaded. Oh, shoot. Oh, get rid of that. Search filter. No, not tow house. Row house. Okay, this is not what I'm looking for. But, boy, that's something. I don't even know what this is supposed to be. It's a building made entirely of sheet metal. Some of these are very unusual, interesting designs. Do I have any ore trains out of anywhere? I don't yet. I have a coal mine on the map. And there will be more of those to come. But, oh, scarecrow. Awesome. Should drop those in one of the fields. Ooh, look at this. That's really cool. We should do that somewhere. We should put that somewhere. Oh, West Slavic power plant. Oh, good to know. Thank you. I think Sherry is dead on account of the noise. That's a shame. There are some noises that are in Trainz that I've also heard used as background Foley in XCOM. That's a cool. That's a mine shaft. That's a really cool one. Oh, that's neat too. I like that. You should make use of that. I'm gonna put this over with the industrial buildings. I don't know where I'm gonna use it, but building bungalow. No, we don't want the bungalows. We want row houses. I want row houses. I want stuff that's locked up, lined up next to one another. And I don't know why that's so difficult. We have this. Okay, row house, right? This is what I'm looking at. This, or like 2-story or 3-story ones, like the cover of Led Zeppelin's Physical Graffiti. You don't know what that is? Look it up. Fantastic album. We've got lots of turntables. We got that. But yeah, so yeah, to finish answering your question, Orion, I will have iron ore mining on the map. I don't have it yet. And yeah, taconite pellets. We will have some other metals probably. We will have some other. Well, we have quarries already, and we're going to get more of those. Okay. This is an interesting. Like, why did I put this road here? If I'm just gonna box it in with trees on both sides. Well, I guess I won't box it in with trees on this side then. So, yeah, we will have mining for that sort of thing. But alas, that will have to wait. That'll be a long way down the road. That's going to be up in the mountains. It's going to be on the other side of the peninsula. It's going to be very, very, very far away. We're talking probably over 100 miles by rail or more. Did I ever do the dirt trek? No, I still haven't looked up enough stuff to be confident about what to do with that. I'm going to go and look up row house on the DLS. Just everyone hold tight really quick. Download station. Row. And I'm just going to punch in row as the name, and you can't see what I'm doing, and I apologize for that. Why do I have 4 pings? Okay. Oh, Gloria's here. So I'm going to scroll down, row your house gently down the road. Okay, the R's, that's a very, okay. Row house mesh library. Row house 1 through 14, pre-made block of 24 row houses. Hi, baby.
Hi.
I love you.
Love you.
Okay, I don't want to proceed with downloading stuff because it'll crash the game. Did I play Trainz? I missed 2009. I did 20. I did 2006 and 2012. That was my whole thing. And yeah, it does have stuff other than your mainline standard gauge railroads. In fact, if we want to run down to this valley over here, I can show you two of the things you're asking for in very close proximity. Please apologize for the incredibly low frame rate as I load in. So I do have a trolley line, which runs in this town and elsewhere, with the electric overhead and a barn full of PCCs back here. Very standard design that's been around for like 70 years at this point. They still use them. And I do have some dual gauge into narrow gauge over here. This is 3-foot gauge. It's going to go up into the mountains in both directions. And I have a transloader for logs here, so logs can be taken off of standard gauge cars and moved onto narrow gauge cars, or vice versa. And likewise with goods in narrow gauge and standard gauge cars, and coal as well, dumped from narrow gauge to standard gauge cars. The trolley line is technically an interurban because it goes between two. Hi, Peaches. It goes between two municipalities, two towns, because it goes from here and then it runs through a town that I haven't built yet right here, and then it runs into the relative hamlet of Mason Valley here, where it crosses the main line. But it's an insular trolley network. I will probably be building more of stuff like this. I will probably be building more, I'll be building out the narrow gauge at some point. Cab ride time lapse of your ride. It would take a long time to do that. It would be cool, but it would take a while. You could go from here into Olive down here, change ends, and then run up to over here. Better than what I designed at OpenTTD. Oh, good, we finally found common ground. I love me some OpenTTD. Friends are like, bro, just learn Trainz signals. Oh boy. We haven't had an OpenTTD server up for the community in a while. It will be coming back. The dashcam footage from the drive to West Virginia, that'll happen someday too. We haven't had an OpenTTD server up in a little while, because I was experimenting with stuff about incredibly low day length, or I guess incredibly high day length, with incredibly long games, and we got like 2/3 of the way through, and the computer started acting up that I was using, and OpenTTD announced like huge changes upcoming that I was curious about and didn't want to start messing with stuff if it had to all get changed again. Also, you may be the only person on the planet that's managed to escape from Factorio. That's rare. I mean, Russians are built different, I guess. Factorio is something that I feel like I have to play by myself. The combined headache, like the compound headache that one gets when trying to do stuff with friends where everyone has a different skill level and everyone has a different idea of how to do things, oh my god, it gets out of hand very quickly. It's entertaining in a very unique kind of way. If it's Escape from Autism, that depends, because I immediately went into deep dive for Battletech. It's just, Factorio is a game like no other. Factorio is a game that has a way of sucking you in like nothing else I've ever seen. Because it's a chasing the, you're always chasing something. You're always fixing a problem which creates another problem, which creates another problem, which creates another problem. It is an unending loop of expand capacity here, and then here, and then here. More so than any other game that I've ever seen or ever played. it is just the epitome of just one more hour, because there is no necessarily end. Uh, and the factory, yes, must grow. Um, yeah, you want more throughput. Oh, we need more. Oh, We're running out of. This was my issue. Uh, we're not making Purple Science. This was from a series that. This is from a couple episodes ago of my own Factorio series. We're not making Purple Science. Why? Um, okay, we're not making the electric miners. Or not, sorry, the electric furnaces. Why aren't we making those? Because we don't have we don't have enough red circuits getting to them. Oh, how do we not have enough red circuits? I just upgraded that. Oh, now we don't have enough plastic. Why don't we have enough plastic? Because we don't have enough um, sulfuric, or not sulfuric acid, uh, light, or petroleum gas. And it's like, okay, now I had to chase that all the way back, and then I'm gonna have to fix that bottleneck one step at a time. And as soon as I fix the petroleum gas thing, now something else is running short, because the rate, like, your factory is always finding your weakest link, and that's the best part about Factorio. Um, okay, I can't believe we got all this strip done. Um, and what's a shame is I have more track to build, but I don't even know if I'm going to get to it this time around, and I'm afraid to forget all the stuff that got discussed in between. I'm afraid to forget all the stuff that we discussed about the grain elevators needing needing their own switcher, having their own yard. Um, yeah. My friends and I played heavily modern Minecraft with a lot of industry mods and Electrocraft. We spent like 2 weeks trying to build a proper automated oil mining and refinery line. Oh yeah, automation in modded Minecraft is like one step down from Factorio. It's basically as good as it gets. Uh, it's I love that kind of stuff, and I have never really dug into one of those really thick modded packs with like the modern stuff with quests and everything like that. Which they're all very impressive to me. Greg Tech and all of those sorts of things. I know Greg Tech is a special one, but it's the only one that comes to mind right now. Where you're sort of being guided through a multi-hour or hundred of hour uh, uh, game of Minecraft, where you're encouraged to play like it's Factorio. You're encouraged to grow the factory, get more resources, that sort of thing. Now, there's only one thing that I don't like about modded Minecraft, and it's that despite everything, you still have basically all your resources in one place all the time. Again, people that have been here know exactly what's coming. My favorite mod of all... I keep screwing this up. My favorite mod of all time is a little mod called Custom Origin. Oh, yes, Tinker's Specials. I just started to learn Tinker's. Tinker's is really cool. I got a thing called Construct Armory or something like that, which lets you do Tinker's Armor. It's really, really neat. And Pewter, which adds a bunch more materials. See ya, Ryan. I haven't done nuclear power yet. My girlfriend has told me not to build a nuclear power plant next to our base because I have informed them that it can explode. So, shot myself in the foot there. I think we should put another gas station down here. What do you guys think? Do you know that one Trainz asset called House Brick Unit? I don't think I do. Let me see. Do I have it? House Brick Unit. Oh yeah, I do. That's cute. Simple, but cute. Very useful. If I was doing British stuff, I'd eat that up. Anyway, Custom Origin is my favorite mod, and everyone that I play with's least favorite mod. Because I messed with the settings on that thing, and it does what it says on the tin. I messed with the settings so that it makes pockets of ore that are like dozens and dozens and dozens of stacks. Like more ore than you could need, more ore than you could use in a lifetime on regular, on, Terraforge is a good terrain mod. I also want to agree, but I think it's better than Cog. I mean, it's a different kind of mod. But, no. Hold on. You get dozens and dozens of stacks, but the deposits are very, very rare. Very, very, very rare. So you're going out into the world. You are caving like your heart depends on it. You are looking for these deposits. You don't have iron right away. You've got copper and tin. They're spread around. I made sure that was easy enough. But you don't have iron to make a bucket. You can't do the ore doubling with Tinker's Construct until you find an iron deposit. And then once you find an iron deposit, well, now you've got to look for a nickel deposit. Now you've got to look for a tin, not a tin deposit, an aluminum deposit. You've got to look for a gold deposit, and nothing but granite under the grass. Oh, cool. Okay, yeah, no, I do like that. Is that 1.12? Is it can I do what I do with Cog with that? Anyway. You have my attention. But yeah, so it makes you have to go out on an adventure. It makes you have to go and fight and explore and catalog where you've been. And, set up semi-permanent bases at these places where you are going to go, okay, I need to go get more iron. Okay, well, let's make the trek to where the iron is, and then mine some iron. And then how do you get it back? Well, this solves the problem that I've always had, which is I feel like minecarts are underrated, and there's so little, like reason to use them, right? And with regular Minecraft, when all your ores are under your feet all the time, like, why even leave, like, your starting chunks, right? So, you have effectively, you have lots of resources. You have effectively unlimited of whatever resource it is, or not unlimited, but you're set for a while once you find a resource, but sometimes finding that resource is the difficult part. Alright, so we're probably going to want like a playground here next to the school. I think I'm just going to put down some seasonal dirt. Oh, that doesn't look right at all. It's too seasonal. Looks terrible. Looks like I just coated the ground in poop. Okay. So something else I'm not sure about is what to fit in this corner here. And that's what originally made me think of, okay, we need a city hall or something. But if we have that, I mean, there doesn't have to be anything here. Maybe I could actually put a park in like I had mentioned earlier. But we also have to start building in that direction to sort of fill out these blocks. And we have our first major industry coming up, which I can't remember what I said this was going to do, but, it's here. Or maybe did I say this? Is this going to be the cannery? Park would make sense if this was a Eurocity in front of a municipal building. Yeah, and it makes sense in a lot of places. It's just I'm thinking because this is like the oldest part of town. This is like the original crossroads that founded Bellington, or South Bellington, because Bellington's over there. This is South Bellington. And this is like one of the original industries. This, I mean, it doesn't look like it did once upon a time, but this is your concrete plant, your cement plant. Again, I'm not sort of certain as to which one to go with. I can picture that was the street in the frontier town. Yeah, something like that. It's a little bit too early to be that sort of town. I may get to an area later that ends up looking a little bit more like the Wild Wild West. But this is sort of, in my head, this is sort of modeled off of a lot of relatively backwater mill towns that are near to me in New England, in the northeastern U.S. These are towns that grew up uh, on water power, which is why we've got all these mills on the river, as you might expect. Um, and that sort of faded after, the 1950s, 1960s. Uh, put a low density commercial in there. Clerks have to go out for coffee. That's a good idea. That's actually a good idea to throw down like whatever was here got demolished, and now you've got like a miniature strip mall. Um, I have a whole area cut out for a strip mall here. But yeah, that's a good idea. Actually, you know what? I know exactly what this could be like. Okay. We got it. I got it. Thank you. Good idea. So there's an area not far from me. There's a restaurant called the Miss Cranston Diner, and it is tucked in what's effectively a parking lot just off of a state highway, um, with a couple of little businesses also in there. It does make sense. Like, I could see it being here. Oops, I grabbed the wrong dirt. Give me this. I haven't built any track today. We've got so much more track to build. But the more I build track, the more it's going to go in like this direction, and that's going to get real hairy real quick. We've got all the industries down except for whatever's going to go right here and this stuff over here. Other than that, yeah, I think we're all set. I should probably throw some trees down on this riverbank before I get too into it and end up having to redo work. So let's jump into Surveyor 2. But the Miss Cranston Diner, it's in a little wedge-shaped area, sort of like this. The only difference is there's a lot of hill going on there, so that makes the difference. That's why it's there. It's going to be a little weird to sort of fit in a building with a couple of stores here facing this direction, facing a parking lot. But it's not wrong. Also, what I know about the U.S. from what I've been studying while studying in upstate New York State, it's laundromat. Yeah. No, the one we went to on Gemini, Dean, that was Lorraine Diner. Also, you studied in upstate New York. Where did you study? I also went to school in upstate New York. I'm very curious. Okay. But yeah, Random Laundromat is a good one. Oh, Rochester, or RIT. Okay, that's really cool. You were a little further out there than I was. I went to RPI. So I was right there in Troy. I wasn't quite out in upstate too much. Yeah, that's that far upstate. Mew also was Mew and I are alumni. We were members of the Model Railroad together. But yeah, now Random Laundromat, that's a good one. I'm wondering, like, I'm not really focusing on specific stores, but maybe I should be a little bit more, because you need to have the checklist, right? I mean, I was given tips on route building earlier. We talked a little bit about, the sort of like my quote unquote rules, my tips, and oh, look up Breezewood, Pennsylvania. That is the most American town on the planet. It's a wonderful, wonderful place to, like, not go. Lafayette. What the hell was I saying? Yeah, maybe I should be more focused on, and that's maybe something else I should have thrown in as a tip. Like, do checklists. It's not a good tip because I don't do them. I haven't done a checklist. I feel like I would benefit from them, but I haven't bothered. Checklists are very helpful. Like, if they can save a plane from crashing into the ocean, they can make your route building better. Checklists are fantastic. All right, let's fill in this. I haven't been to Rochester proper much. Visit Breeze with Halo and Interstellar Travel debuts. Also, I meant to post something in the Rhode Island problem. I'll post it here now. Also, RIT is in Henrietta, really, so, oh. Well, it's easier to tell people that RPI is in Albany when it's not. People don't know where Troy is, but they know Albany. It's at least the capital of the state. And of course, thanks to the very memeable moment of The Simpsons, they know Utica as well. But okay, hold on. What is this? Look at this. Look at that. Oh, you know what? I thought that was going to be enormous. I thought that was going to be much larger. But we've got Dan's Auto Repairs and an H&R Block. Henrietta is a nice name. Okay. Storage building. Let's see if I can get, like, just coffee shop, right? But if I go there, I'll have a garbage plate. Hearing Poughkeepsie the first time riding the train to New York City, and the what? Ooh! Ooh, I should show you something that you'll recognize. What about you? Oh, this is another gas station. I'm going to put this at the other end of town. Hang on. I did say we needed another gas station. Oh, I wanted to put it here, huh? I did, and then I forgot. Okay, well, this has got to go here, and now we've got to dig up the grass around it. This is what I hate doing. I don't like going back, you know? I don't like undoing what I've done. But I did want to put a gas station here, and it's a good fit for this location. But no, I have something. I have something. Oops, misspelled it. I have the bridge. I used the bridge over there in the valley, near where the narrow gauge is. I love this bridge so much. I've walked across this bridge. It's an experience. You're up very high and it's very long. It's a good exercise though, especially if you're faint of heights. Your heart gets a good exercise. Okay. There's the Kraken Dean's Bridge. Well, Dean, you could always have it worse, huh? Burger joint. Hamburger. Do I put a BK here? I could put a Burger King down here. Let's slide that. How far down do I have to be before I can't fit this? I mean, you can't have a Burger King without a drive-through, right? Is there a drive-through window on this? I assume right here is your... No, it doesn't look like a... This is a non-drive-through Burger King. That should be illegal. There are talks to replace the Hernando de Soto Bridge. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of bridge work going on these days. Some of it is planned, and most of it is not. That's interesting. Oh, liquor store Alberta. We already put that one. Feed store, convenience store. I mean, I could just throw down a convenience store, right? Memory mart. Okay. Harbor Freight. That's too big, but that's a good store. I should hang on to that. Oh, Esso gas station. That's an interesting one. Esso is Exxon, or was Exxon. Corner store, convenience store. Okay, those are all signs. So I have all these. Brewery store. Gas pumps. What are you? Oh, this is a... Oh my god. We found a triangular building for our triangular lot. Look at that! Look at that! Come on! It doesn't get better than that. Okay. Let me just even this out a little bit, and then I'm not sure if I want to give this a spur. but I'll give it room for one. And then I still don't have what I wanted to put here. We have an Acme store. This isn't really the vibe that I was going for in this corner. But, I mean, Acme store. Can I put a... I need to see if I could download like a Roadrunner to put in the parking lot. Okay. So, we'll just get the one store building here. And then I'm going to put probably some trees and grass in here, although there's the loading dock, so I've got to keep that open. And this actually does remind me of an area very close to my home. I know everything, I say everything does, but this does genuinely remind me of an area not far from me. I wish the Memory Mart store was on the other side. Or the sign was on the other side, because now it's in front of the building there. If Gloria was in here, I could say, hey, does this make you think of blank? And they would say yes. Can I put a spur here? Let's see. Might be my last act tonight, because we've got 7 minutes left. Okay. Yeah, it fits. Can I get the switch in without it clipping this building, though? Not really. Not really. What about right there, and then I'll straighten this. Oop. Straighten that, and it does fit. Just barely. Well, I'll scoot Memory Mart forward. Okay. And I'll probably put up some hedges or fences around here for the backside. Oh man, I mean, gotta shout out to Scoots for helping me find that. Not that that was exactly what he said, but it works. It works way too well. Okay. And there we go. Put our little extension so that we can't drive cars off the end. And then, yeah. I mean, this... maybe, I mean, still maybe a little park here, and then a fence, and then this gas station is the right way to do it. The other thing is, I mean, if this is our elementary school, and this is our high school over here, which is much, much older, we still need to put our football field somewhere. Either in this town or in the next town. They don't necessarily have to have, one each. I know in the next town over, I put a soccer field down because that's what I had available, but now we have an actual football field. So let's pull this back. Pull this back to... Yeah, there was a Harbor Freight that I just found. Pull this back to about here. Now, what am I going to do for this stretch of road here? Because I don't know how to transition from this to this. Russian-Soviet planned football soccer field to be close to the local school usually. And yeah, and it usually is. I've gone to, you know, in the schools that I've been at, one of them had an adjoining, you know, of my two high schools, one of them had an adjoining field and everything, and track and everything. The other one was a little bit more like this, where, because that one was built off in the suburbs, this one was built, you know, at a major crossroads in the center of a dense suburban town. Relatively dense for suburbia. And it did not have its own field. We had to go like a half mile down the road to where there was a park with a field in order to do, you know, track and field stuff and sports and that sort of thing. So I want to try to emulate that, you know, maybe by sticking the field over here near this, but not near this. Because that will, you know, that strikes a chord with me. And if I do put it here, Alternatively, whatever is the recently built area of your city, there'd be heavy marketing with a new field being the highlight and such. Yeah, no, and that's not unreasonable. And this, yeah. So what I was just thinking is, if this area was cleared out, I mean, right now I have this industry here, but this industry is not going to stay here. It's something that I threw down during my original concepting. If you take this field and just drop it right here, even, I'm not sure if you fit it if you turn it sideways, but yeah, okay, you fit it like this. You take this field here and you say that it was put on sort of reclaimed land. There was an industry or industries here that closed down, and now, when they demolished all this area to build the new elementary school and the new field for the high school. Now, something that we're obviously missing here is stands. So we have bleachers, which I could line up 37 of those next to one another and call it a day. Oh, shoot. I didn't want to do that again. I like football field surrounded by metric ton of quasi-suburban housing that's getting pushed for people to move into from elsewhere to grow the city. Yeah, I mean, that would be good for sort of like proper suburbia. That would look good. It would look real, especially for the 50s, because this is supposed to be transition era 50s. It would look good on the outskirts of the major city, which this isn't. This isn't the largest city on the map. It's reasonably large. It's the largest city that I've ever built, but it's not going to be the largest on the map. Rail stand, no. Bike stand, no. I can't. So I mean, either I stack up a bunch of bleachers, which is a possibility. I just line up a bunch of bleachers next to one another. Or I go on the download station and look for more stuff. Which we gotta look for more stuff. I gotta go download all the row houses, first of all. And no, we're not. This rail line is not staying here, or the field is not staying here. One of them is leaving. One of them's moving. I don't know which, but one of them. Don't have much understanding for U.S. urban planning, except from the point of, yeah, this is how not to do this. No, that's very fair. I am a civil engineer. I'm a traffic engineer. I deal with this crap on a daily basis. How not to do this? We're always learning from our past mistakes. Like, joking aside, there's plenty of jokes to be had. There's jokes out the wazoo. But we always are learning from what we've done in the past and what worked and what didn't. Because at some point along the line, it will always have been throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. Doing something that seems like it's a good idea and then it's not. No one is clairvoyant. And yes, studies may have said this or that. People chose not to listen. That's, their problem. Or, it was their problem then and it's our problem now, and we have to learn to do better. I haven't played Workers and Resources. I have it in my Steam library. Mason, a friend of mine who was here in the stream chat earlier, bought it for me. And I have been trying to make an excuse to play it, but there are too many single-player games that I do not have time for. There are too many single-player games that have already sort of consumed me. Between XCOM and Railroute right now, and this, which of course is just something that I'm doing. I do this every Thursday. I don't do it on the off time because it's sort of like my rationale earlier of doing a chunk at a time, so that when you get to do the thing you want to do, it really feels like a treat. This really feels like a treat when I have to force myself not to do it for a whole week. And Workers and Resources is one of those where I go, wow, I recognize that game has an incredibly steep learning curve, and I will not understand it right away. And I don't know when I'm going to have the time or the effort to figure that out. It looks like an incredible game. It looks really cool, and I love the aesthetic. I mean, I am admittedly a sucker for the Soviet aesthetic, if nothing else. But, and the central planning aspect and the city building and the going through time, It all makes me very happy. It sparks joy. It does the neuron activation, and I know I would like it. Um, but I just like I've been looking at it and going like, yeah, that's a hurdle. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of figuring out. Um, anyway, what might be interesting in a Friday playdate in the future is that people who own the single player game start a new save and do a race to get the furthest next amount of time. Yeah, I was I wanted to do a race to space where we all like do Kerbal Space Program and see who can make it the furthest or who can get the most funds or the most science. Well, probably funds would be a good one because some people really know how to cheese the system and like throw together a rocket with only the basic components and get to the moon. Um, who can get the most funds at the end of 3 hours or whatever is probably that's a good idea. Anyway, um, central planning is a funny thing with the guy at the top is a genius and would be perfect. In reality, the amount by which they aren't a genius is the amount how much people are going to complain. Yeah. Oh, there's a lot we can talk about with central planning, and when it comes to building a route and building a map like this, I suppose my final tip for the evening is that you should always go back in time if you can. Always think about how did this town get here? How did this building get here? Why are things the way that they are? We have this strip of commercial because this was one of the most important roads in the area. This was a crossroads at one point, and this is where the town sprung up. This line through here was originally the main line. That's why it was 2 tracks. This over here, this is the new main line that got built afterward, and this town saw an expansion of growth, but it's always lagged behind South Bellington here because South Bellington has more of the mills. It's the more you think, the better it's going to get, more than likely, because you don't have to worry about people complaining. Your route is your route. Your stuff is your stuff. Whatever you build is going to be there, and as long as you have justification for things, you are bulletproof. And also, it ends up creating a cohesive experience with fewer like weird dead spots where nothing is going on because you couldn't think of anything. And then you have your Bethesda-esque storytelling, of like, oh, the road used to go straight here. Oh, the this neighborhood used to be more connected, right? When you're building something that's meant to be a real place, having the occasional screw-ups or inefficiencies wraps around it being entirely realistic. Exactly. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. It has been an excellent turnout. Tell your foamer friends. Buy trading cards if you like. Unfortunately, I don't have international shipping beyond Canada yet, but if somebody wants international shipping, then I will figure it out. And I will see you next week. This is the Admiral.